Hello guys, welcome back to LR Anime. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of BTTH Rebirth of Emperor Yang episode number 308 based on novel. So let's start. In the medicine cauldron, when the flame squeezed the numerous medicinal materials into one place, the collision in an instant made the energy burst out uncontrollably, and the energy fluctuations broke out continuously. In a burst of low and dull noise, the pure liquid medicine was shocked to disperse one after another. If it was not for the protection of different fire, I'm afraid it was just this one, that is to destroy all these herbs. Feel the sudden change in the medicine tripod. Xiao Yan's brow wrinkles, but he is afraid of a tiny bit of slack. The soul of the vast ocean, like the sea, is pouring out unreservedly. It seems as if it has turned into two huge palms. In the medicine tripod, the medicinal herbs are fully held in the palm, and the package of the different fire is in an extremely tough posture. Compress it again. There is only one chance at present. All actions cannot be lost. This step is the only way to refine Huazong pill. His eyes focused on the medicine tripod in front of him, and the flame leaped up. The warm fire light was reflected on Xiao Yang's dignified face, holding his breath and concentrating. The air in the secret room seemed to solidify at the moment, and the atmosphere in it was also particularly serious. In the medicine cauldron, no matter how the energy between the herbs revolts, Xiao Yang rigidly controls the soul power and resists all the explosions with different fire. The situation in the medicine cauldron is uncertain for a long time, but Xiao Yang can accurately capture that the energy fluctuation between the herbs is weakening at an extremely slow speed. As long as all energy fluctuations dissipate completely, it is also the time for the integration of medicinal materials and the formation of pills. Time, in the rising of different fire, passed quietly like sand between his fingers. Xiao Yang sat in front of the medicine tripod. His body was as stiff as a sculpture, and the whole person looked like a dead body. If it weren't for the fine breath in his nose and the continuous sweat on his forehead, I'm afraid it would be mistaken. In the twinkling of an eye, I don't know how many times and how many days have passed. Xiao Yang only knows that he has tried his best. The medicinal materials in the medicine tripod are integrating little by little. All the processes are progressing slowly towards the good side. His eyes, which have been staring at the medicine tripod, are full of gloom. His eyes gradually become red and congested, and even his eyes appear unusually prominent. The excessive investment made Xiao Yang forget everything about the outside world. Even the whole person's consciousness was completely immersed in this huge medicine tripod. The only change in the whole secret room was the flickering fire light in the medicine tripod, shining on Xiao Yang's body, and a distorted figure was shown on the ground and wall behind him. The integration of medicinal materials proceeded slowly in Xiao Yang's frightened mood, but fortunately, there were no more mistakes in the whole integration process after that. The high tension of emotion made each step fall in place step by step. Until the end, when the last batch of liquid medicine was integrated with it, a mottled group with the size of a fist, it appeared in the medicine tripod. Looking at the liquid medicine turned into a mass in front of him, Xiao Yang did not relax at this point. The pill had not been completed, and all the results had not been determined. If you want to relax completely, I'm afraid only the moment when the pill was really refined. Xiao Yang didn't dare to slack off. His mind was still tight. His soul power controlled the flame, kept it within a constant temperature, and slowly released the temperature, so that all kinds of medicinal materials in the liquid could be gradually blended. With the gradual fusion and condensation of all kinds of liquid medicine in the group, the volume of the original fist size of the drug group is gradually condensing. Until a certain moment, the size of the group has been reduced by half. On its surface, the originally viscous juice begins to become dry and hard. It looks like some mottled and shapeless pills are gradually condensing. Looking at the prototype of the pill that was successfully integrated in the medicine tripod in front of him, Xiao Yang finally put down the biggest stone in his heart, pressed down his excitement, and breathed a sigh of relief. His throat was dry and even made him smell a trace of fishy and sweet taste. However, at this moment, the most difficult steps to refine the pill were successfully completed, but Xiao Yang had no time to take these into account. It still maintains its original heat and is ready to enter the next stage, which is also the most critical stage related to the quality of pills. Pregnancy pill. Once the pregnancy pill is completed, then Huazong pill is really refined. 2 months have passed since Xiao Yan closed the door to refine pills. With the approaching of the clan meeting, the atmosphere within the Xiao clan has also changed significantly. The young generation of the Xiao clan, who are lazy and wandering on weekdays, are now hiding in their houses and practicing hard. Although this kind of behavior is quite like sharpening their guns in the moment, it has to be said that under the continuous crazy practice, it can be said that some young people with better talents or who have been in the stage of breakthrough for a long time have made breakthroughs in cultivation under such an impact. Of course, in contrast, these are still a few people. Some young people who are used to being wild outside in the name of the Xiao family on weekdays may not be able to raise their heads in this family. The strength of Yuan is not uncommon among these young people, but only by breaking through heavy obstacles and becoming the leader among these people can the family treat them differently. The back mountain of Xiao nationality is on a cliff. Dressed in white, Xiao Xian sat with his eyes closed and his hands tied with cultivation. The source qi stirred and the wind and cloud gathered around him. Above his head, a huge invisible wind roll was mixed with fierce and domineering sword qi, gathering all the energy between heaven and earth. At the same time, Xiao Xian's internal skills were running rapidly. It seemed that there were fierce collision sounds in his body. Buzzing, buzzing. With the rapid operation of kung fu, a magnificent source qi poured into his body, trying to break through the barrier between the Source Emperor and the Source Sect. In the days when Xiao Yang closed the door to refine pills, Xiao Xian didn't simply wait for the results, but tried to impact the invisible barrier in his body again and again with his own strength. Although all this seemed impossible, Xiao Xian understood that in the process of countless impacts, he only needed to move forward for a short distance, even if it was just a small crack. He was confident to break through this barrier and advance to Yuanzhong. And that's what he's doing right now. As the sword qi on Xiao Xian's head became stronger and stronger, an invisible sword vertically downward was formed in the center of the wind roll. At the moment when the sword edge condensed, it wrapped and carried the trend of breaking the dome, facing his head, straight through his soul and roaring towards the barrier of cultivation. Click. Without too much fancy, a sword fell, and in the depths of Xiao Xian's mind, it seemed as if a startling explosion suddenly sounded. For a moment, the huge wind roll hovering over his head suddenly soared, and a startling suction surged out. The energy between heaven and earth seemed to find an entrance and was absorbed into Xiao Xian's body. With the continuous infusion of these heaven and earth energy, an amazing breath far better than the peak of Yuanhuang also climbed rapidly in Xiao Xian's body and went straight to Yuanzhou. While Xiao Xuanxiu was trying to break through the Source Sect, on the other side, the elder Xiao Zhen was deep in the back mountain of the Xiao family. At the moment, a pair of old eyes were looking at a certain direction of the back mountain with surprise. Breakthrough? Amazing. With a surprise in his mouth, Xiao Zhen couldn't help laughing. At the same time, he felt an incredible feeling in his heart. At the beginning, he tried all means to make a breakthrough for Xiao Xuanxiu, and even came forward to explore it in person, but he still couldn't find any useful clues. Unexpectedly, he has been promoted so abruptly. Now, the elder was surprised at this, but he couldn't help thinking of it to Xiao Yang. Is it because of the boy? Outside the city of Xiao nationality, a pair of turbid old eyes slowly opened. Suddenly, there was a golden light in the depths of the eyes, which flashed and disappeared. Then he looked at the Xiao family. His eyes also showed some surprise. Then, he raised a satisfied smile at the corners of his mouth, stopped slightly, and then calmed down again. Ouyang's house. On the top of a mountain, wearing green clothes and a long sword. Ouyang Yu in Qingyi. The name of the long sword is Yulan. Buzz. When Xiao Xuanxiu in the Xiao family made a breakthrough, the long sword lying quietly beside Oyu Yangyu on the top of the mountain suddenly vibrated uncontrollably, as if it had received a signal. A sharp sword spirit surged from the Yulan sword and cut off the surrounding mountains and stones in an instant. Seeing this, Ouyang Yu's face remained unchanged, his eyes stared straight at the northern sky, then stretched out 2 fingers and fell on the sword body. With a gentle press, the long sword immediately settled down. However, Rao was so The sword qi surging from the edge of the long sword still left a shallow blood mark on Ouyang Yu's wrist. Hiss. Ouyang Yu took an instant breath, and his eyes were shocked. He raised his hand and stared at the scarlet wound. He was thoughtful. Then he quickly calmed down, took a deep breath and said faintly, "It seems that he has a great influence on you. If the weapon devours the master, if there is not a demon, it is that it has met a better master than itself, so that it can't stand it and wants to break free from the existing shackles. If I remember well, his name seems to be Xiao Xian." For a long time, Ouyang Yu sighed again. When he recovered, he slowly put one hand on the Yulan sword and stroked it gently. "Old friend, thanks for having you all these years." The man's face was calm, but the depths of his eyes were full of reluctance. At one moment, Ouyang Yu slowly took a deep breath, as if determined, and suddenly pulled a piece of cloth from his robe. His fingers flicked the long sword. The sword body immediately soared into the air. The cloth hovered gently in his hand, and in the twinkling of an eye, he wrapped and sealed all the long sword. The man closed his eyes and stood silently on the top of the mountain, feeling the last breath left in the air. Since then, Ouyang family has no Yulan sword. After a month, in front of a secret room in the Xiao family, Xiao Jinghong and Xiao Tianli were here. They looked at the slowly opened secret room door in front of them, and a tense look of expectation came into their eyes. Soon, an old man with white hair and beard came out of the secret room. The old man looked a little depressed. When he went out, he saw the expectant grandparents and grandchildren. He was stunned at first, but he shook his head reluctantly and sighed. "Failed to live up to your trust." As soon as they said this, the grandparents and grandchildren suddenly clicked in their hearts, and their faces solidified. After a long time, Xiao Tian couldn't help laughing, took a deep breath, shook his head, looked at Xiao Jinghong aside and comforted. "Grandpa, it's all right. There's no pill. It's a big deal. I'll practice myself. I'll always break through." Hearing the speech, Xiao Jinghong's dry palm trembled. Then he fell on the latter's shoulder again and said in a low voice, "That's what I said, but it's been several years. Seeing that this year's clan meeting is imminent, if your cultivation can't break through, I'm afraid." Xiao Tian pursed his lips and felt helpless. In order to find more powerful power, the skills he practiced were naturally special. Although his usual cultivation seemed strong and domineering, once he reached the promotion stage, the resistance he had to face was particularly huge, but relatively, once he broke through, the rebound would get more than combat power. Even the improvement of cultivation will be faster and stronger than others. This is the reason why Xiao Tian's cultivation speed is inferior to other peers. If not, Xiao Tian's cultivation talent should be at the same level as Xiao Yang. That bastard Xiao Mingyuan, if he didn't want to do it, how could this pill not be refined for a long time? Xiao Jinghong looks extremely ugly on his old face. Although he is also a pharmacist in the family, he can't rank 6. It's even more difficult to refine the 7th order barrier breaking pill. Looking at the whole Xiao family, Xiao Mingyuan, the 3rd ranking pharmacist in the Presbyterian Council, has no doubt that the 7th order pharmacist can be used by him. This barrier breaking pill can certainly be refined successfully. But now they are in the same boat as Xiao Yang. Xiao Mingyuan is on the way with Xiao Yang and wants to ask him to do it, but it's impossible. It's also under all kinds of helplessness that they found the only 6th level herbalist in the family, Elder Xiao Ming. Unfortunately, the result was so unbearable at the cost of all the herbs. However, when the three were in a low mood, thunder clouds suddenly rolled over a courtyard of the Xiao nationality. At the same time, a strong energy fluctuation was taking shape there. On the field, the three people's eyes suddenly turned, and their eyes immediately gathered in the place of energy change. In the twinkling of an eye, the look on their faces was a burst of change. This is. The 7th order pill was born, and the 3 elders are refining medicine. As a herbalist, Xiao Ming was the first to notice that the special energy change was caused by the refining of pills. That's Xiao Yang's residence. Are the 3 elders refining pills for him? Whether it is or not, go and have a look first. Xiao Jinghong gave a low cry, and then he jumped into the sky without any help. He took the lead in flying towards Xiao Yang. Later, Xiao Tian and Xiao Ming hesitated a little and followed up. At the same time, many people in the Xiao family were attracted by this energy fluctuation and came quickly. However, when Xiao Jinghong and others arrived at the scene, the first thing they found was a familiar figure who was guarding over the courtyard to prevent anyone from approaching. But looking at the person, it was Xiao Mingyuan. At the moment, the man who made medicine. In the sky above Biayuan, Xiao Mingyuan stood with his hands behind his back and looked up at the rolling thunderclouds in the sky. An old face couldn't help showing surprise. He thought that he boasted that he had great insight in refining medicine and was able to enter the 7th level, which also added a lot of luster to his face. But he didn't expect to see such a scene today. 7th order pill, boy, it's really amazing. Although Xiao Mingyuan knew the identity of Xiao Yang's herbalist, he never thought that the latter was so accomplished in refining medicine. He was still young and was already able to refine 7 levels of pills. Such an amazing talent may not be comparable to some younger generations in the Danta. Soon after Xiao Mingyuan appeared, figures came one after another around Biayuan. The birth of the 7th level pill made some old people of the Xiao family very excited. However, when these people arrived one after another and saw Xiao Mingyuan standing in the air, they were shocked. Looking inside and outside the Xiao family, there was no one else who could refine the 7th level pill except Xiao Mingyuan, but at this time, the latter stood alone. This pill obviously has nothing to do with it. Did Elder Xiao Ming break through the 7th step? As soon as I thought about this, many people present immediately showed a look of surprise and doubt, but then, the 3 figures who quickly came from another direction immediately dispelled the ideas in the hearts of the people present, because Xiao Ming was among the 3 who came at the moment. Why are you? Xiao Jinghong's figure flashed rapidly. In a twinkling of an eye, he was already standing in the field. His toes gently fell on the top of an attic. Then he frowned and stared at Xiao Mingyuan, who was standing in the void at the moment. He doubted his voice. While talking, behind him, Elder Xiao Tian and Elder Xiao Ming also came quickly. Their eyes immediately noticed Xiao Mingyuan on the court at the moment. Why, even you are here, I can't come? Seeing Xiao Jinghong, it was obvious that there were not many good colors on the latter's face. Facing the former's words, Xiao Mingyuan only sneered faintly. As for Xiao Jinghong at the moment, he had no time to pay attention to these. He quickly looked at the room below his eyes, which was surging out of stock energy fluctuation, frowned and said, "Since you are here, who is the person who makes pills at the moment?" Xiao Jinghong's words are undoubtedly the voice of everyone present at the moment. After all, the 2 medicine refining masters of the Xiao family are present at the moment. In that case, who refined the 7th level pill at the final stage? Hey, it's strange for you to ask. This house is Xiao Yang's residence. As the master here, he is the only one who can refine pills in this house. Xiao Mingyuan smiled coldly. As soon as his voice fell into the crowd, there was an uproar. Even Xiao Jinghong, who had long guessed in his heart, and the 2 people behind him, could not help but freeze their faces, and their hearts were even more unbelievable. Although they all know that Xiao Yang has a level of identity as a herbalist, they can guess that he will not exceed level 5 at most. However, what is in front of them now is a terrible fact. You know, even if you look at the whole Xiao family, there is only Xiao Mingyuan, the 7th level herbalist. However, Xiao Yang refined the 7th order pill. The meaning contained in it is not just a pill. 7th level pill, this is the proof of the identity of the 7th level herbalist. Not inferior to the strong cultivation of the top figures of the younger generation of the family, coupled with the identity of a 7th level herbalist, the combination of the 2 represents the real favorite of heaven. It is impolite to say that young people who can achieve such achievements in both cultivation and medicine refining at the same time are absolutely rare in the mainland. Even if it is the temple in the eyes of pharmacists in the whole mainland, there are bound to be few in the Danta. After Xiao Yang's move, no one in the Xiao family dared to underestimate it, and its status will be unshakable. With this in mind, Xiao Jinghong involuntarily set his eyes on the closed house below, and hesitated in his heart. Boom! At this time, the condensed thunder cloud in the sky finally rolled violently. In the thunder cloud, every thunder rolled continuously. When the people below looked up, an amazing black thunder like a dragon suddenly fell down, ruthlessly tore up the void and rushed straight to the courtyard below like a living creature, so that many of the young generation of Xiao nationality present, even some elders, could not help showing a dignified look. The power of Dan Lei triggered by the 7th level pill is extraordinary. Under the Source sect, I'm afraid no one can stop it. Even if it's an ordinary strong person of the Source sect, I'm afraid it will suffer a lot. In the void, Xiao Mingyuan stared at the rapidly falling terrible thunder with his old eyes. When the source gas in his body was mobilized, a black streamer suddenly burst out in the closed room below, pierced the roof, soared up, and met the amazing Dan Lei. Hiss! Is that a puppet? Xiao Mingyuan frowned and the voice in his mouth just fell. An earth-shaking roar suddenly sounded in the sky. As everyone saw, the powerful Dan Lei seemed to have been cut off most of its power at the moment it touched the puppet. Most of the thunder force directly disappeared into the North King's body, and the rest was shocked and exploded in the collision. Beiwang's body was blown out, but the moment he was about to land, the soles of his feet suddenly stepped on the void, and his body burst into the air again. At the same time, a pit several feet wide was left in the courtyard. Hey! This puppet can absorb the power of thunder. Under Xiao Mingyuan's gaze, although Beiwang was blown away by the thunder, it exploded with the force of thunder in his body. His body was not damaged at all. On the contrary, it became brighter and brighter. His purple-golden skin became brighter and smoother. At a glance, he felt quite thick and tough, and the most strange thing was the head. On both sides of the forehead and cheeks, down to the lower part of the neck, there are dragon scales. Even in those cold and empty eyes, there is a strange murderous spirit. Not only absorbed the power of thunder, but also became stronger and stronger, and the scales. His eyes carefully swept over Beiwang's body. At a certain moment, Xiao Mingyuan suddenly picked his eyebrows. A look of horror appeared in his eyes. At the same time, he couldn't help exclaiming in his heart. This puppet is actually the Taishu ancient dragon family. Although Beiwang suffered a lot of trauma after the last birch incident, with the power of thunder in his body, after the war, not only all the accumulated thunder power in his body was absorbed, but also all the injuries were recovered, and even his strength was also raised to the level of origin, which can be described as a great blessing and disaster. However, even so, such a reluctantly breakthrough can only reach Yuanzong. However, in the face of such a strong Dan Lei today, Beiwang's strength is to be able to be promoted completely. Not only that, it will be even better. Roar. He gave a low roar with indifference in his mouth. Beiwang's body rushed up again. In the face of the great thunder, his body was impartial and hit it. Boom. The startling explosion resounded again. Under the gaze of countless horrified eyes, I saw that the strong force of thunder was torn and swallowed into Beiwang's body by a strange suction at the moment when it touched Beiwang's body. Facing these thunder, Beiwang's body was like a bottomless black hole. No matter how fierce the bombardment was, Beiwang's body was towering. Even if it is blown out, the thunder will be swallowed up. 10 or so Dan Lei fell and was swallowed up by the North King one by one. On his body, pieces of dragon scales emerged continuously. The power of thunder did not run like a living creature on his body surface. With the explosion of his iron fist, he fiercely welcomed the Dan Lei falling from the clouds in the sky. What a strange puppet! Seeing this scene, the people present were all shocked. Even Xiao Jinghong, the senior elders of the Xiao family, were also surprised by it. Such a strange puppet can be said to be the only one in his life. The strength of this thing. Is it still improving rapidly with the help of Dan Lei? Beiwang, who was baptized by Dan Lei again and again, was blown to the ground from the beginning. At this moment, he was unafraid. His body stood in the sky, towering to accept Dan Lei's fierce impact. No matter how Dan Lei collided, he was completely swallowed up by it, and even didn't step back. At this moment, the Northern King's combat power is already comparable to the ordinary Sangxingyuanzong. Boom! Boom! In the sky, the huge roar rang through endlessly, and it seemed that there were countless thunders hidden in the violently rolling thunder clouds. A steady stream of angry thunder burst out from the middle, and its power became more and more powerful, and then all fell on the body of the North King. For a long time, the rolling thunder clouds suddenly strangely calmed down, and the thunderclouds blocking the sun gradually contracted. But just when everyone thought that the thunderclouds were about to disperse and wanted to relax, the energy between heaven and earth suddenly became unusually violent, and a terrible weather like the end of the world covered everyone's head, so that the source gas in many human bodies in the presence becomes slightly blocked at this moment. Boom, boom. At a certain moment, among the thunder clouds that had shrunk by more than half, 3 more powerful thunders suddenly burst out. Just when they fell, they were combined into one in the shocked eyes of everyone, and turned into a powerful horror thunder with more than 10 feet, imitating the thunder column of Buddha, directly hitting the North King. However, even so, in the face of such a terrible thunder, the North King still stood in the void like an iron tower. He looked up and stared at the falling of the thunder. Just when it was about to fall on his head, the North King suddenly opened his mouth and sent out a low, dry roar in his throat. Then, a terrible suction suddenly gushed out, that earth-shaking thunder. Just like this, he was swallowed by the North King. When the thunder entered the body, Beiwang's body trembled for a while. After a few breaths, he regained calm again. On the 9 days, the last cloud of thunder also dispersed slowly. The sun shone on Beiwang's purple and golden skin. Now it can be seen that half of his body has been covered by dragon scales. In the sky above Biayuan, the rage of Dan Lei lasted for nearly an hour. During this hour, the number of Dan Lei absorbed by the North King was nearly 100, devouring such a terrible number of Dan Lei. Naturally, the results were particularly amazing. Dozens of thunders swallowed up one after another, making the cultivation of the North King get an unprecedented crazy promotion. At this moment, the strength of the North King seems to have reached the level of the 5-star source sect. Even compared with Xiao Lei, it is not inferior. Even if the two fight, whether Xiao Lei can be the opponent of the North King needs 2 more words. Aware of such a change in the strength of the North King, some Xiao elders present at the moment couldn't help looking at each other. A hot color appeared in their eyes. What everyone thought was particularly consistent. In a 7-rank Dan Lei, the North King has fully improved the strength of the 5 stars. It is hard to imagine that if such a powerful Dan Lei comes several times, the North King's combat power will be promoted to what a terrible situation. Is it Yuanzuan or Yuansheng? Just imagine a puppet who can quickly improve its strength by swallowing thunder alone. According to such an amazing improvement speed, if the family can conceive and raise it, once the puppet's strength breaks through Yuanzuan and even Yuansheng, it is just around the corner for the Xiao family to become the first force in the mainland. At that time, the 2 major gates and Dantar will not be taken into account. The prerequisite for all this is that Xiao Yang must hand over the puppet's control. As soon as I thought about this, the eyes of many family elders on the field unconsciously fell on the house below. At this time, Xiao Yang was doing the final finishing work of the pill. When the Dan thunder dispersed, Xiao Yang in the room finally took out the pill from the medicine tripod in front of him. Looking at the Huazong pill with bright color and overflowing Dan fragrance in his palm, Xiao Yang's tired face always showed a satisfied smile. He thought that with this pill, Xiao Xuanxiu could make a breakthrough, but he didn't know. Xiao Xian's accomplishments as early as January, he has already stepped into Yuanzong. Up to now, although a month has passed, he is afraid that his strength has already won a step. Creak. When the door was opened and the sun was shining over the sky, countless eyes looked at it. As soon as Xiao Yang looked up, he saw the figure all over the sky. Especially when he saw the slightly hot eyes of some elders, he couldn't help but pick his eyebrows. When his eyes turned, a figure appeared in front of him. Above, Xiao Mingyuan and others changed their faces, and their eyes fell on the man. At this moment, Xiao Yang also looked up in surprise, then looked a little stunned, and then smiled and said, "Ancestors, fortunately, they didn't disgrace their life. They turned Zongdan into a pill." In the other garden, Xiao Yang looked at the figure suddenly in front of him with a smile. As soon as his palm turned over, a jade bottle with exquisite shape fell into his hand and handed it respectfully to the latter. Seeing this, Xiao Xian shook his head slowly with a smile and said, "It's hard for you, but I'd better put it away. Now I can't use this pill." Hearing the speech, Xiao Yang was not surprised. Just when he was about to ask, he suddenly flashed in his mind the amazing speed at which Xiao Xian appeared the moment before. At this moment, he thought about it again. His mind reacted in an instant. He looked up and down carefully at Xiao Xian and noticed that the breath in the latter's body was thousands of different from that a few months ago. At present, the color of surprise in his eyes is a little thicker. You! Staring at Xiao Xian in surprise, Xiao Yang immediately couldn't help laughing and attracted many suspicious eyes. At the same time, Xiao Jinghong in the void stared at Xiao Yang, and his expression was shocked. He had heard clearly before. What Xiao Yang said was Huazongdan, and in his capacity, he naturally knew clearly what Huazongdan represents, which is a pill that can make Xiao Tian's cultivation break through Yuanzhong. Imagine that when Xiao Tian chose to break through the pill used by Yuanzhong, his first choice was Huazong pill, because Xiao Tian's skill belongs to accumulation, breaking thousands with one effort. The so-called negative effect of Huazongdan is regarded as nothing in his opinion. Unfortunately, the refining difficulty of Huazongdan is far beyond the 7th level barrier breaking pill, and without Xiao Mingyuan's help, he had no choice but to choose the latter. However, now the broken barrier pill has no hope, and the thought in his heart has just dissipated, but now, the suddenly increased Huazong pill in Xiao Yang's hand rekindled the flame of hope in an instant. If we can start with this Huazong pill, Xiao Tian's cultivation will naturally have a solution. Don't think about it, Grandpa. We run counter to Xiao Yang. It's good that he doesn't resent us. It's impossible for him to give me the pill refined for Xiao Xian. At this time, Xiao Tian seemed to see the idea in Xiao Jinghong's heart, smiled bitterly, shook his head and said. When he blurted out his words, Xiao Jinghong suddenly regained his mind and disappeared with the expectation that had just emerged on his face. Indeed, even Xiao Mingyuan doesn't want to fight for Xiao Tian, not to mention Xiao Yang. However, while the people on both sides were talking, among a group of people somewhere in the void, several middle-aged people stepped out slowly, and then fell into the courtyard and looked at Xiao Yang. Xiao Yang, who was laughing with Xiao Xian, felt that his eyes were coming. As soon as his eyes turned, he looked at those people. At the moment, there are 4 middle-aged people in the courtyard. There is no doubt that they are the strong ones of Yuanzhong. Among them, the strongest one has reached the 5-star Yuanzhong. It can be said that they are not weak. But at the moment, they don't seem to be very friendly when they look at Xiao Yang. Xiao Dingtian's man. Xiao Mingyuan also fell down and looked at these people with a slight frown, but did not give a good face. Among the 4, a strong middle-aged man walked forward slowly and blurted out a word, but he was stunned. Xiao Yang, people don't talk secretly. I'm afraid you can't control the ability of this puppet in your hand. Therefore, I hope you can hand it over and contribute it to the family. If the middle-aged man didn't hear it, if Xiao Yang could really contribute this puppet because of him today, it would be a great contribution to the family. In the future, his status will naturally rise. In fact, these short-sighted people are comparable at present. However, when the middle-aged people think of these, they don't seem to take Xiao Yang's thoughts into account. Xiao Yang was also slightly stunned by this, looked at Xiao Xian on the side, then looked at this person strangely and said, "Who are you?" The middle-aged man raised his head slightly, and his face showed some satisfaction, saying, "Xiao Huan, the cabinet elder of the Xiao family." "That's all right," he replied faintly. Xiao Yang raised his feet and wanted to leave, but then the middle-aged man looked cold and said in a deep voice, "What do you mean? Can't you hear what I said?" Xiao Yang stopped, slowly turned his head and looked at the latter, and said coldly, "If you are the patriarch, I may want to think about it, but since you are not, it is not necessary." "Xiao Yang, you are arrogant. You want to join our Xiao family, but in the end, you don't even want to contribute to the family. How can you be so selfish?" Xiao Huan blurted out a word. Xiao Yang turned around and Xiao Xian frowned. Even Xiao Mingyuan and Xiao Jinghong looked at the latter and shook their heads secretly. Obviously, they despised this guy's stupid behavior. The light eyes of the previous moment fell on Xiao Huan again at this time, but Xiao Yang's eyes were a little more moribund. The so-called arrogance means that he doesn't know how to respect the family elders, or does Zhao Jin misbehave in the Xiao family? The so-called selfishness means that he is unwilling to give up his own interests, or are these people desperate? Xiao Huan's words offended the scales. Okay. Extremely cold eyes stared at Xiao Huan until the latter couldn't help being frightened at the bottom of his heart. If you can beat him, it's up to you what the North King will do. Xiao Yang's mind moved. The North King banged and fell to the ground. He couldn't help saying. Then the words from his mouth made the hearts of the people present jump. North King, kill him. Bang. As soon as the voice fell, the soles of the North King's feet stepped heavily on the ground, and a half-meter wide pit immediately burst out on the ground paved with blue stone. When he got up, he already appeared in front of Xiao Huan in the blink of an eye, without any pause. One punch was aimed at his head. For a moment, Xiao Huan's face changed wildly, the source gas in his body was quickly mobilized, and his body retreated rapidly. Although he finally managed to escape the iron fist of the North King, his face became red because of the blazing vigorous wind, and even there were several scratches on his forehead. Xiao Yang, you! Without waiting for Xiao Huan to shout angrily, the Northern King's attack filled with the smell of killing and logging hit again. Even if he didn't care much, he stepped back. At the same time, the vast source gas quickly condensed on the right fist, and then his arm shook strangely. With an unusually strong energy, he suddenly blasted at the Northern King's fist without any fancy. Bang! When the two touch each other, a terrible strong wind ripples suddenly burst out. On the ground, cracks spread rapidly from between the two, and the strong energy swept through, directly shaking some furnishings and gravel in the courtyard into powder. Hum. Xiao Huan sent out a cold hum in his nose. The source gas surged on his arm, and then his body shook violently. The terrible energy poured out immediately, intending to shock the North King back. However, after the fierce source gas broke out, the body like the North King's iron tower stood still, allowing those energies to impact on the scales covered on the body surface. When the offensive fell, the North King's body pressed forward abruptly. At the same time, a pure force of thunder disappeared into the former's arm and scattered all the source gas. It also mercilessly smashes some meridians. Before the shrill scream from Xiao Huan's mouth, the body pushed forward by the North King hit his body heavily. For a moment, blood gushed like a spring, and the whole body flew out uncontrollably. After smashing several courtyard walls one after another, he stopped. Looking at the situation on the field, all the people present were stunned, and their eyes were even more shocked when they looked at the North King in the field. Comparatively speaking, both of them are 5-star Yuanzong, but at the moment, it's just a face-to-face meeting. Xiao Huan was defeated miserably in an instant. Beiwang's combat power is so terrible. This video will end here.